Really? Now we're going to get English lessons from you?
It's live.
It's live. It's live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Club, and thank you for joining us again on this very exciting uh, end of this very exciting week. Last week was politically really heavy, but we're going to be discussing what's coming up in the following week, including,
But we're
you
going to be
know,
discussing
oh
what's
God,
coming
who's
up
got me on now?
in
There's feedback
the
again.
following week.
Suhel, is it you?
Not at all. We were having a nice long chat.
Yeah, it's not me. Okay. Yes, it is miraculous. I'm on time. I'm always on time. But so let's just get started. So, Haley went to Dharavi this week, not the usual digs for you because mostly we're used to seeing you elsewhere.
So I let that sarcasm pass because it's worthless. Uh, you're absolutely wrong to say, oh, it's unusual because I've done more pro bono work in terms of areas that you've never been to in your so called SUV. And I went to Dharavi and Soham Ranade, whoever he is or she is, says BKC. No, I went to Dharavi. I went to a place where Dharavi begins called the 60 feet road or the 60-foot road. The reason why I went there was because for years there is a particular person who's been telling me that there are potters. So there are four principal businesses in Dharavi: pottery, recycling, F&B, and leather. And these are very large businesses. They're extremely important businesses. And just to give people perspective, people by and large are stupid. Oh, Dharavi, it's a slum. Blah, blah. So what had happened was, and this is what I got the dope. Dharavi was created by the British to move settlers who were in and around what I call the the Don Bosco school, which is close to where I went. And these settlers were then moved to what is today known as Dharavi. And over the years, Advaita, Dharavi has slid into the kind of penury and miserable existence for its citizenry that you and I can't imagine. And I went there alone. It's not that I went there with 100 people, blah, blah, blah. No. Because I wanted to actually see for myself what's going on. When I entered, you cannot imagine the plight. All this slumdog millionaire, all this nonsense, YouTube, this is all rubbish. When you go in, you will see the plight of these people. So let me give you an example. There are potters. These potters are over 100 years old in their businesses. They've got kilns there which are ages old. So as I was going in, some people recognize from television, blah, blah, blah. I first went to these three brothers called Hanif, Abbas, and Yusuf. And they have on the first floor is where their pottery unit is, but the kiln is obviously downstairs. You have to climb these metal steps. And if you're not careful, you can fall, slip and fall in. So the reason why I went there was to basically see what's going on. If you remember, and half those chaps are in jail, as they should be, many people over the years have used this slum redevelopment model to basically garner land. So then I met a bunch of 5 or 6 people who came on their own. Because from the pottery unit, I went to the leather unit. And one of the leather units is, and that gentleman and his family make leather jackets and they make leather caps. These leather jackets would be as good as Gucci or Bottega Veneta or whoever. You can't make the distinction. And these are all people. Then, by the way, I went to another unit where they were making trousers. All they do is make trousers. World class, all exported. So then I met these people. And they said, देखिए सुहेल जी, एक बात है. So one guy recognized, he says, देखिए सुहेल जी, आप यहाँ क्यों आए? I said, क्योंकि मेरा एक दोस्त है और उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो पॉटर्स हैं इनकी मार्केटिंग आप कैसे कर सकते हो? Obviously pro bono. So then they started. I said, ये सारे जो redevelopment क्या होगा? दे से देखिए अब ये अडानी जी का प्रोजेक्ट बन गया है और अडानी जी ने ये प्रोजेक्ट लिया है. सो बीइंग सर्कमस्पेक्ट आई सेड प्रोजेक्ट लिया मींस ही सेज नहीं पर ये ना अलग है. तो ऐसे अलग क्यों? ही सेज उन्होंने की टू की डिसाइड किया. Basically what the person was telling me is, let's say Dipankar owns a particular hutment in Dharavi and he has to be resettled. First he will be resettled, then his hutment will be demolished. Then a very interesting factor came up which I didn't know. So the reason why I'm saying all this to you, Advaita, is none of us who are so aware by and large even know the realities of what's going on in our own country, that too in a megapolis. By the way, Dharavi has 1.2 lakh residents. So it's not a small place.
I mean, it's known as the largest slum in the world. I mean, for the longest time. And that's something very tragic about that.
Correct. So then what I got to know from these people was that there is an organization called Dharavi Bachao. But here's the beauty. This is the Dharavi people telling me. One guy was Ashok. So Ashok ji says, देखिए ये भी किस्मत हमारी, जो धारावी बचाने आते हैं वो तो यहाँ रहते ही नहीं. उनको ये नहीं चाहिए कि हमारा रीडेवलपमेंट होवे. नंबर वन. नंबर टू, you know, we talk about slum lords. These are the rascals and the crooks who give out these hutments on rent to these people and persecute the hell out of them. They don't want that redevelopment. Then I said, okay. Then from there I went, and that day was the day of Muharram. From there I went to this leather unit. As you pass by the leather unit and you go towards the leather unit, there is open drains, there's open sewage. I mean, it is unbelievable what's going on. So here's the reality of Dharavi. You know, I was shocked. Uddhav Thackeray, of all people, to now rail against this redevelopment by Adani. A, it was a global tender from what we know. B, who was the first person who wanted Dharavi redeveloped? Two people. Balasaheb Thackeray, who when last known is Uddhav Thackeray's father, and Rajiv Gandhi. These are the two people. There have been 4 companies, 4 times redevelopment has been tried and has failed. These people may abuse Adani, may abuse anyone, but these are the people who won it in a global tender. What do you want? You are creating a political hotspot, and who are you depriving? The same people. Now here's the other beauty. On that evening, I went to the Bhamla Foundation event. There were all these some more politicians. So there was one guy called Ashish Shelhar, who's the BJP state head. So I told him, I said, have you been? Now these people haven't even been. Kirit Somaya, who I have a lot of respect for, rails against Dharavi saying, oh, no settlers. Now here's the thing. Suppose Advaita Kala has been in Dharavi from before 2010. She is what they call an in situ resident. Suppose Dipankar has been after, because there has to be a cut-off date. Because there are no records, there are no papers, there's nothing. Can you imagine, Advaita, not one mainstream media has taken it up? Not one mainstream person has written about this. Not one mainstream person has even talked about the irony, the hypocrisy of the Thackerays or whoever else. There's some lady called Varsha Gaikwad or whatever her name is, some MLA. She's been MLA 3 times from there. What have they done? Diddly jack. The roads are a mess. You know, the Education Institute is named after Kamraj. It's a primary school with 3,000 students. Total neglect. It is a fire hazard. At the same event at Bhamla Foundation, I met Bhushan Gigrani, who's the new BMC commissioner. I asked him, because what I did was I did an Instagram reel on my Dharavi visit, which went viral. I have received Advaita requests from people saying, please give us the name and the details of these people, the 3 brothers, Yusuf, Hanif and Abbas, because we want to export from them. We want to buy from them. So I told Bhushan, I said, do you know the fire trap that it is? There are toilets. It breaks my heart. There are 4 toilets managed by some bloody gunda, and he charges people, and 1,400 people use those 4 toilets every day. You know, I went and met another gentleman, Idris ji. All the rusk that you have, the butter rusk or whatever it is, he makes He supplies to all of Bombay and around. So point is, acha, you have this one YouTuber who became famous from Dharavi and these other jokers. But let me tell you one thing. Today, we have neglected Dharavi in everything. I told Bhushan, and you can ask them. I said, if I were Adani or if I were, Suhel, I would create a Dharavi crafts park where all the crafts of Dharavi would be available for everyone to see. One of the potters tells me, he says, यहाँ पहले तो कोई आता नहीं था, अब थोड़े थोड़े लोग आने लग गए, हमारी बिक्री हो रही है. It is a tragedy. And what is even worse is that these scoundrels in politics, people in power, are continuing to abuse anyone who wants to really develop.
Right.
I mean, Adani should wash his hands off. But और किसने की है? Vadhavans did it. They did a fraud. They're in jail. Now, I'm not even bothered whether it is Adani or whoever. The point is, Adani has done infrastructure. They know infrastructure. They know that there is a lot riding. You again say politics. ये मोदी के आदमी है. भाई मोदी का कौन आदमी नहीं है? Uddhav Thakere's party was in bed with the BJP until they broke. So who's not? The problem is when whales fight, shrimps are eaten. It is the people who are the shrimps. No one gives a toss. This global news person just said, tourism, there is vulturism that is happening. People are going to Dharavi to mock India, not to be proud of India.
No, it's poverty tourism, Suhel. Dharavi is poverty tourism. And
Adani is promising, biggest lie, biggest rascal lie. Adani ji ne land ले लिए, भाई उन्होंने 4,000 crore दिए. Land belongs to the Maharashtra government even now, even after everything. They are developers. These idiots don't understand the difference between developers. Suppose Sandip Ghosh is the government of West Bengal and he asks Advaita Kala to develop a society. Advaita Kala still owns the land. Advaita Kala's land rights don't transfer to Sandip Ghosh. I am so sad. I'm not exaggerating. It is tearful what is happening. You see young children. You know what this Ashok ji tells me? He says, क्या बोले जी आपको? He says, माता पिता यहाँ पैदा हुए यहाँ ही मरे. हमारी अब 55 साल की उम्र है, हम भी यहाँ मर जाएंगे. पर क्या बच्चों को यही जीवन देंगे? No politician visits Dharavi. They do press conference in Dharavi, but these, I don't want to use foul language, none of these visit Dharavi. They visit Dharavi during elections. No one even knows what's going on there. There are illegal buildings. Who has given permission? Some bloody politician.
Yeah.
You have 6, 7-story buildings. There are no decent schools other than the Kamraj school. There is no decent water supply. People are washing and bathing and cooking with the same water. Is this what we want India to be? Is this what India's commercial capital should be? Is this what we actually need in our country? Where we have our own people, our brethren, living the life of misery and penury because of petty politics? Is this the India you want? And the irony? These people coexist with BKC. They coexist with all these fancy places. I went to this trouser unit which makes trousers. I promise you, Advaita, those trousers are better than world class. They are being produced by hardworking men and women who earn an honest day's wage, unlike some of these bloody politicians. But no one wants to say anything. So, do you want to keep your people poor so that you become rich?
That's the plan.
Raised this issue. Rajiv Gandhi raised this issue. 4 times development was planned. What kind of a country are we becoming? I'm sorry, I don't mean to rail, but these are the things. And I have decided, as Suhel Seth, will do pro bono marketing of everything that's happening in Dharavi. I will speak to corporate leaders, I will speak to retailers, I will speak to outlets and say, can we do this? I said we should have Dharavi Dil Se, Dharavi Ki Dhadkan, create a music festival. Oh, by the way, on the music festival, it was just a thought that came to my mind, and I want to salute that man. I sent a message to Shankar Mahadevan. I said, will you do something where we do a music festival along the Methi River, because the Methi River adjoins it. He says, yeah. That same evening, I met Jackie Shroff at this Bhamla Foundation. I told Jackie, I said, do you know the pottery that is available? He says, no. I said, then? So he says, I don't mind becoming their brand ambassador for free. So
Yeah.
people are willing to help if you give them an avenue.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And
politics
Jackie's really into like sustainable.
I mean, genuine citizen interest.
Yeah. No, Jackie's really into sustainable and nature and all of those things. In fact, he gives a potted plant every time he meets somebody. But so there are good people out there who will support this, and I think it's really important that something is done, because this kind of disparity and to kind of let people stay in the squalor, live in the squalor, professor, is just, it's just horrible, and it's
There
driven
are other
by
people. There
most
are other
notable
people.
interests.
There are
Yeah,
little children who are going to school, whose feet are in half a foot of water.
yeah,
Forget the
So I get
disease. Is this what they deserve as Indians? We talk about India, technology, economy, Ghenta. Sorry.
yeah. No. Professor, I mean, this largest slum in the world, the kind of glamorization of Dharavi, I think even in popular culture, in the Western eye, the sort of identity of India as this poor, squalid country, Dharavi for very long has been representative of that. And now, like Suhel said, you have these self-serving NGOs who are coming in and trying to play, messiahs for them by bringing these foreign tourists in, and that's about it. That's the extent of the development or the exposure that they have.
Look, this current controversy over Dharavi actually is not the ones who glamorize Slumdog Millionaires. Okay, this is plain and simple politics where Uddhav believes that he will be like tyranny's opposition. He will propose nothing, he will oppose everything, and he will try to turn out the government. That is his 3 point agenda. When the Adanis won this particular contract, this tender, it was said that this tender had been, the specifications had been tweaked to favor him. As to how, nobody knows. Now, for the first time, this thing has been institutionalized. There's a special purpose vehicle, basically, which will oversee this entire thing. And right now, you have Uddhav Thackeray coming in. What does he say? The usual stuff against Adani. We won't let Adani take over Bombay. But cleverly, he says he's not against slum redevelopment. He says that these people should get more than the 350 square feet promised to them. They should get 500. Why stop at 500? Why not 900?
Sorry, 1 minute. Brilliant point made by Dipankar. One of those gentlemen said, he says they are using that as an excuse. You know why? All slum redevelopment projects, the ceiling is 300. These guys were offered 350. Now these guys, to screw the project, are saying 500.
100. Yeah. So this is only aimed at torpedoing this particular project because they believe that if it catches on, then the government of the day could actually get, a lot of political capital out of it. But let's get one thing clear. When it comes to urban planning in India, in a sense, has been absent. Urban economics that should drive urban planning is completely missing. It is the kind of restrictions that we put on our, the land ceilings, urban land available for construction, which creates an artificial scarcity, as a result of which, in places like Bombay, land is several times more expensive than gold. It's platinum, it's something else altogether. There is this particular problem. But what strikes me about Dharavi is that even in adversity, Indians show enterprise. They become the suppliers to global brand names. If they can do it in Dharavi, just imagine what they can do in an atmosphere or a milieu that is far more planned. They can do wonders. Look, these problems will be there anyway. I think the government should basically face it and move on.
Pallavi, or rather, actually, Sandip can come in here also. Sandip, what is the problem here with Uddhav Thackeray? Is it the fact that it's redevelopment, and that too with the elections coming up? Up to 1 million people will be impacted by this positively if there is a redevelopment. and that's not good news for the Mahavikas Aghadi? Or is it because it's Adani, so they have a problem with the person? Or secondly, it's the fact that this ceiling on on the land, earlier it was
Honey,
350.
honey, the money, honey. It's the money,
Yeah,
honey.
yeah,
Sorry.
because Prithviraj Chavan is now saying this is a scam. I mean, on what basis do you say that? They're so fast and easy with the
One minute,
facts.
before Pallavi comes, what do you want people to do? You have a global tender, they win the global tender. They have already deposited 4,000 crores. जान ले लो बच्चे की फिर क्या करें भाई you got every goddamn thing going, but because you want to oppose, since you have no other bloody plan in motion, I'm not bothered about who does the development, frankly. I'm concerned that you are using politics again and you will again delay this. Although my advice, if ever they even watch the program, listen to me, I would advise the Adanis to sue these guys till kingdom come. Because this is why investors lose faith in India. This is why India is underdeveloped. This is why no one wants to work in India. Because these rascals will create hurdles for no bloody rhyme or reason.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
how can you take off and say this is a scam, this is a this, this is a that? They're so fast and easy with words now. This is the environment we live in, and defamation is the surest way to silence anything positive or good. Because just say something defamatory, just kind of target intention without sharing facts, and hope that that will stall things, be it online with individuals or be it with larger companies. This is what's happening.
Sandip,
Whether it's, you asked me, we've discussed all the, actually, I would say those are the real issues. But actually, the practical issues in Bombay are only two things. Bombay has been always dominated by the land mafia and the nexus between people. So that's where you are, today an Adani comes in and puts his hand into that pie. And then that land mafia is always linked to politicians. So that is a big part of the story. And that's why, even Rajiv Gandhi, when he tried to do certain development, Dharavi failed. I don't know. You were too young or not even born then when there was this famous case of Rajiv Gandhi sacking an IAS officer for not doing his work in terms of the development, all that on the spot, all that he had also tried to do certain things at that point in time, but it has never happened. Because on one hand, you have these poor people which Suhel is talking about, but there are also huge money interests also operating out of Dharavi. There's a lot of purchasing power because those are the people who really control. It's the poor people who are, struggling and suffering, but the actual economic control are with those people. So you're really putting your hand into that hornet's nest over there. So that is one part of the story. The second part, Advaita, today, whatever you want to do in this country, if they find a whipping, an excuse to whip the government, they will take it on because this whole spiel, and which unfortunately has been allowed to stick, that desh ko Adani Ambani ko base dal raha hai, everything is being controlled by them, Adani Ambani ka sarkar hai, all that is happening. So anywhere you try to do anything, this has become the very easy way to pin the government. And unfortunately, the government has also succumbed. What you were talking about, taking these people to court, that is something the government should also insist. Adani does it. They should back it and say, okay,
Absolutely.
we don't mind if we're losing the election, which they just might in any case, but we are going to see to the end of this. Just see what had happened in the metro project. The metro project.
Again, the Thakres didn't want that.
Yeah, that was totally. And I went to Bombay after a long time the other day and see that a ceiling which has come up. It has been in the works for so many years, but at least somebody has finished it. People will now say it was conceived in our time. We started the project. We allowed the tender, but finally this has happened, and that is what is going to change Bombay as a city. People have been talking about Bombay for a long time, comparing it with Hong Kong, how it will be developed, and now it's just begun. this other link which has happened between New Bombay and Bombay, the bridge. This
And let me tell you, Advaita, before Pallavi comes in, this
city in
is
a
a nexus. This is the Republic of Nexuses. We have become exactly that. No one gives a damn about the citizen. They don't care. Do you think they actually care? They care once every 4 years or 5 years. They don't give a damn.
and
No, no,
they,
absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
and so long, that whole this plan of linking New Bombay and Bombay existed from the time it was formed, but it is again the mafia nexus of the builders and all didn't
Yeah.
allow it to happen. That's why Bombay's land prices were kept so artificially high. No, any of these things will happen if real estate gets opened up. Some of that pressure will ease, and that's what these people also don't like. And you mean to say tomorrow, if this opportunity exists and if the other party comes in, they're not going to develop, they're going to keep it like in the same manner. They're also going to try and freeze the opportunity in some way. Today, the problem is who is doing. They are doing it. I can't be having a share in the pie.
Absolutely.
That's the whole story, and that's
Yeah.
the unfortunate part. We are unfortunately today we are on a slide back motion. I feel because of the electoral setback, everything. I think now there are brakes applied, and we might find many of these things derailed or at least stalled because of politics.
Yep, yep. Socialism is all about keeping the poor poor, right? Because that's when you have that's when you have a cause to fight for. If your cause to fight for is going to be
Pallavi,
social mobile, then that doesn't serve the purpose. And I just want to share this before we close this argument on and move on to the budget. Just to say that Mumbai in itself is in the top 10 like most expensive real estate markets in the world. So land is literally money there. It's gold. So you can imagine why this would be ruffling the feathers of our
but tell me,
politicians.
but tell me, do we not have a court? We have the Bombay High Court, which has very principled judges. We have great citizens of Bombay, but Bombay is a self-inflicting wound. Hey, by the spirit of Mumbai ka. To hell with the bloody spirit, yeah. Look at how your fellow citizens are living. Are you not ashamed?
I'll just say one little thing. We have to understand that there are elections round in Maharashtra. See, there was a similar kind of a slum development project which was done as far as the slums in Delhi was concerned. But it became AAP versus the BJP. It suited the AAP also not to push ahead with the development because the presumption was that most of the people living in the slums of Delhi are AAP voters. And the BJP was not going to get that traction. So what has happened? It is status quo. I mean, if you looked at Dharavi, I have been there very little bit, I'll be very honest, but I've visited the slums of Delhi because, I went to cover it and all of that. It's equally bad. And it suits the politicians to maintain the status quo. So what I'm being told are two things in terms of strategy in Dharavi. One, play that Hindu versus Muslim card. Large number of minority population in Dharavi. So the card which is going to be played by the MVA is going to be, देखो Muslims खतरे में हैं. These people will come in. They are going to target you. They are going to be Hindutva then. Yeah, that's the logic. It is
Now the same Adani has said keep to keep policy without segregating. No? There is no discrimination.
And the second thing is
I went to
the
5
second
places
point
to visit.
that
We were
you're making
Muslims.
is, yeah, so that card is being played. And the second card is that if you're going to get a corporate to take over and clean up Dharavi, the corporates will benefit. And आप लोगों को कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. At the end of the day, you're going to be fooled. So this fear is being put into them, which is why you heard Uddhav Thackeray say it. Wait for the Congress officially to say it soon. They're all going to play that card and say कि we want people's development. ये लोग Adani and Ambani.
Have they asked the people? Have they asked the people? When was the last time you, Pallavi Ghosh, as a senior journalist, when was the last time you went to Dharavi? When was the last time any of your colleagues went to Dharavi? When was the last time your channels did a show?
I haven't been to Mumbai.
No, 1 minute. You're damn fine traveling with Akhilesh Yadav and Lalu Yadav and Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi and Amit Shah. When was the last time you bothered about the people? Is it my business? I went there to do pro bono marketing for potters and leather factories. So you guys don't.
The jeans are one of the best.
The media has let down this country as much as the politician has. You don't care. No one gives a monkey's toss. You know why I'm angry? I swear, I saw that potential, Pallavi. You know, there's a leather school in Florence run by monks. You should see their leather produce. The leather produce in Dharavi, Advaita, is about zillion times better. All they need is an outlet. They need better facilities. They need better access. You want to deny all of this? We keep Narendra Modi says made in India, made in India. घंटा made in India कैसे होगा made in India? अगर आप इंडियंस को मौका ही नहीं दोगे, if you don't give them the wherewithal, where will made in India happen? Okay, that's it. I won't rant anymore.
No, I think it's sad. No, it's sad that every time that there is any effort to make things better for a large number of people, it immediately hits the political eye, and then it becomes about politics. Never mind the person, never mind the people, never mind the individual or the children. And this just keeps happening over and over and over again, and it's getting tiring, frankly. But anyway, moving on to the budget, Pallavi, we'll start with you, of course. People are quite optimistic this time around. The middle
Yeah.
class, there's an expectation that the tax slabs are going to change. Maybe goods are going to get less expensive, cars, cell phones, things
But
like that.
more than the people,
I'm giving expectations.
yeah, more
Huh,
than the
go ahead.
people and the expectation within the BJP also. There's this entire, they're going to be watching the budget very closely. And because they feel that the perception which has been built up that the BJP has lost elections, that opposition is having its way and opposition has won. And there's a sense of paralysis and a derailment which is taking place can only be countered if the budget actually comes out with some big ticket proposals, and it comes out as a feel good budget, which is why it's not just the people who are obviously going to be watching very anxiously for tax rebates and so on and so forth, but more than that, within the BJP also, they're going to be watching very, very closely, because they feel that if it's a very good budget and it's a populist budget, or they have some 2 3 big schemes which are going to be announced, it could perhaps counter this perception which is building up. So I think this budget more is very interesting actually, because the last budget of any government before Lok Sabha elections is always watched out for. But this is going to be another interesting case where the first budget, I mean, they have another 4 years to go, but the first budget in different circumstances is going to be watched very, very closely. One, of course, by the opposition, in case I think they're going to object to it, whatever happens. But I think the BJP cadre, and not just poll bound states, the BJP cadre is going to be watching very closely. And also, both Andhra Pradesh as well as Bihar, they are asking for a special category. Will they get some SOPs? Will they get some benefits? And if you start looking at the tweets which are coming out by Congress leaders taking pot shots at the BJP that you're buckling under pressure and this and that, that is also going to be very interesting, because both Andhra Pradesh and Bihar certainly do want, just as JDU and the TDP do want something, in terms of a special category.
Also, I want to just say that this is going to be Nirmala Sitharaman's 7th budget presentation, which makes her the finance minister, like in the history of finance ministers of independent India, the finance minister who has presented the budget most often. So really kudos to her. Professor, you were shaking your head vigorously. What are your, as our resident economist, what is your take on this?
When it comes to things becoming cheaper, etc., it's not in the hands of the finance minister, it's in the hands of the GST council. So this is the GST council decides what tax slab will be for which goods. But I think that the next 4 to 5 years, the government will focus on employment. I think there'll be something grand for employment in this budget and subsequent budgets. They've basically pushed the PLI schemes for production. Don't be surprised if they announce some sort of an ELI, an employment-oriented scheme, or an employment subsidy in this particular budget. There is sufficient fiscal headspace the government has.
They are
Number
going
one.
to.
Number one. Number two, in the last 10 years, the banks and the corporations, in a sense, have cleaned up their act. The banks are no longer saddled with the NPA that the UPA requested them. The corporate balance sheets also have been cleaned up, but the corporates are unwilling to invest. I mean, they have not shown a great appetite for investment. They have not shown a great appetite for borrowing from the banks. This is something that the government is going to address. Now, one part of it is regulatory, which is not the finance minister's domain. The other part is fiscal support. And I think when it comes to fiscal support, don't be surprised if massive doles are given out. I mean, in form of labor subsidies, etc.
Okay, what about women-led development, which is one of the prime minister's themes? What about
वो
that
होगा
business entrepreneurship, women-led entrepreneurship?
that वो होगा but इतना भी big ticket नहीं होगा. I think the jobs is going to be a big focus. I mean, the prime minister met those economists recently, and he told them also that Viksit Bharat के लिए I know I need to give more jobs.
Yeah,
Job
Pallavi, first
generation
eat, then
Eating and talking, keeping a mouth open, badly mannered. I mean, what the hell is going on?
People
Having
are asking if
popcorn.
we eat peanut.
I mean, this has to take over for all the viewers.
Popcorn on a Sunday is allowed.
Yeah, but that's when you're watching a movie. This is by no means a movie. See, this is what I mean. The media in India does not even take these programs seriously. We're discussing Dharavi and a dream budget. She's busy eating popcorn as if she's watching Beverly Hills, Alex Foley.
I wasn't having popcorn when you were discussing Dharavi.
See, now can we have a serious discussion again on this? Taking off from what Dipankar has said, I think there are 4 or 5 issues that Modi has to handle. Number one, the MSME sector has been under a lot of pressure post-COVID, during and post-COVID. So there has to be a reimagining of how the MSME sector will be supported.
Yeah.
Number two, this whole thing about Viksit Bharat and all is fine. People are saying, although I talk to people, they say, no. I believe that a lot of people are interested in a government program towards employment, because those 80 crore free rations are not helping anyone's cause. I'll give you an example. I was at a CI meeting, and a lot of the industrialists said at that meeting that a lot of people in the workforce are now moving back to their villages. So the workforce in urban areas is not available. Skilled labor is not available because the people are actually moving back because they're happy, they're getting free food, lifestyle is better, quality of life is better, they're with their family, not uprooted. So the government has to look at that as point number 2. Point number 3, we are spending a lot of money on infrastructure, but we now need to make infrastructure revenue driven and revenue driving. It's no point building highways. You've got to then create an entire ecosystem around those highways. Number 4, your 2 largest generators of employment are real estate and tourism. Till this day, tourism has not been given infrastructure status. No, I'm not praising Narendra Modi, but no prime minister other than Modi has done more for Indian tourism than Modi has. But you still don't have infrastructure status, which means a lot of the people in tier 2, tier 3, or even tier 3, tier 2 categories are not being given bank loans. So I think these are the 4 areas I would look at if I were Narendra Modi or Nirmala Sitharaman for the 7th time.
Don't get jealous. 7th time is.
No, I'm not. Why should I be jealous? Can I tell you one thing? 7 times ho, 8 times ho, 9 times ho, damn good, yeah. Put it in the Guinness Book of Records. It's not how many times you do what you do. It is how well you do it.
Let's say corporate view.
Yes, let's get the corporate view as our resident CEO. What do you have to say about your expectations from the budget?
See, first of all, I think Mr. Modi will have to do something which shows immediate results without those being freebies. People have to feel the difference there. As long as the going was good, a lot of things could be brushed aside under the carpet, or you could ignore them because you thought the going is good, and the larger, benefits are going to wipe out the smaller pain. But right now, I think that there is a time of reckoning has come. One of the problems, apart from, I think definitely it doesn't cost much. You have just 2.24 crores of taxpayers. If they increase the income tax relief, marginally, it's not going to cost the government a huge amount of money. They're spending a lot of money. So some of that you will see, I'm quite sure. Some amount of tax relief, direct tax relief. But there are, in the name of ease of doing business, ease of living, there has been lots of complications which have also crept into our tax regime, and which was ignored so far. One is So GST rates will not be part of this budget, but GST procedure. If you talk to people, the trading community in UP, etc., one thing came back to bite BJP are the problems which are faced by the traders and people on GST. Pallavi was talking the other day about her friends in Khan Market, and Rajiv Tuli was talking about more real businessmen who are all cribbing about the GST procedure. Similarly, on tax, the government has done a great job in their anxiety to mop up tax revenue, which is that they have done very successfully, plugged leakages, etc. The income tax compliance has become a huge issue. And that you'll find if you talk to the CA community, the practicing CA community I'm talking, they will tell you the kind of problems that has been there. So a lot of those things need to be cleared up along with the MSME bit which Suhel talked about. Now, when you're talking about also creating employment, larger macro schemes which are going to yield results in next 10 years or future, that's not going to really, they need immediate relief. So someone I was reading suggested that whether they'll provide corporate some kind of subsidy for taking on apprentices, take people on. So some of those things to get immediately that's youth employment and this whole pushback about Agnivir, etc. That has to be tackled in the through the formal sector. So some of that you will probably need to see going forward in this budget, because Modi will require, Nirmala Sitharaman would require, just rhetoric won't do. All this thing about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas or something like that, those will sound very hollow. People will have to see clear benefits by which, they can feel the difference going forward. You might find other instruments which will come for the savings bit to take up the tax saving amounts, the benefits which were existing. So a lot of that would happen. So in a way, I think it's good instead of the big talk. See, the infrastructure thing will continue to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think this government the center needs to think too much about freebies just now. Let the states handle the freebies. States meaning those who are going into election. Maharashtra has done it. Let Haryana do what it wants to do. They may have to do something in Bihar. They will do it themselves. So I don't think they need to tackle those. What the allies like TDP would require is investment, which they can give Chandrababu Naidu. His basic trip now is to do Amravati and various other development things. So if he gets allocations for doing that, he'll be happy. And then they should tidy up the house, take the sting out of the argument, which people are saying, do not make it looking like a. But investment climate has to be sustained. Foreign investment has to come in. So therefore, they can't do anything that is going to rock the boat by tinkering with capital gains, etc. That will be, I think, quite retrograde. So I don't expect it to be a big bang budget, but I would expect it to be a modest budget with a more heart to it than bluster.
Okay. I hope we can all get together on Tuesday evening and have a quick show, maybe half an hour, on what the budget's been about. So just to break it down for people, and especially even for people like me, I don't understand the budget beyond a point, frankly. This is not my strong suit. So, Pallavi, very quickly, Parliament session is also starting. The party, the opposition is really geared up. So it is ostensibly the budget session. But what is the strategy of the opposition? How do they plan to be disruptive this time? Because they are going to be disruptive.
Yeah, they made it very clear today.
Suhel, I'm going to unmute you because there was some background noise. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Suhel.
I said not ostensibly, it is the budget session. Use words with care.
I cannot believe this was his intervention. Go ahead, Pallavi.
So, NEET is going to be one big issue. In fact, tomorrow itself, multiple notices will be given by the opposition. They want an urgent discussion because, by the way, tomorrow is when the economic survey is going to be presented. and day after, of course, the budget. So tomorrow, NEET is going to be the big issue. So there are a couple of issues which the opposition parties are wanting to take up, which they highlighted today in that all-party meeting which took place. The biggest of them all, of course, being NEET. They're going to talk about the railway accidents, talking about what is the rail minister doing. There are multiple issues, price rise, and jobs that they are going to talk about. And Deputy Speaker, I mean, that's pretty much Manipur. Rahul Gandhi is going to talk about Manipur. So yeah, I think it's going to be fairly acrimonious. It's a long session. It's almost a month long. I mean, 25 days. And it's going to be a long session, and it's going to be a very, very confrontationist, newsy for us in the media. But yeah, NEET is going to be that big issue because that is one topic which the opposition feels they can put the BJP on a back foot on. UPSC, the UPSC wala issue was also going to be another big one.
Also because I think the young Indian, the demographic dividend that we speak about a lot, there is a certain level of disenchantment with these paper leaks, with NEET, with UPSC. It all seems to be coming together, and the government doesn't seem to have a direct outreach in a systematic way that that they should. And if the opposition brings this up, then they're going to strike a chord with young India for sure, aspirational India. So
I don't know if they've joined today very quickly, but when I was just landed at the airport, I met this bunch of young girls. They tell me they watch us on Sunday Club, so I'm wondering if they've joined us today. That's exactly what they said, that they are worried about NEET. They're also worried in the sheen of UPSC, because one of those girls who was giving the civil services, she said, even this seems fudged. I don't know. I thought this was one exam where you could not fudge it. And merit really matters, but we are wondering whether that's really the case. So there is this huge worry, and the government will have to really reassure this young India that all is well.
Amit Shah is going to be in Pune for the BJP Maharashtra State Convention tomorrow. Rahul Gandhi may or may not make an appearance. The point I'm making is Parliament is not being taken seriously by either the government or the opposition. You ramrod legislation because there are, there's sloganeering, there are walkouts. Our Parliament in India has become indecorous, undefinable, and is an ugly blemish on our democracy. Unless these parties come to terms with this reality that they have to learn to behave themselves. And the government's job is also to run Parliament. It's not the opposition's job, as was said famously by the late Arun Jaitley. So I have no expectations from Parliament. The budget only in this country is seen as the holy grail. In other countries, no one gives a monkey's toss about the budget. We get all excited. Oh, budget session ready, kya hoga, kya nahi hoga, घंटा होगा. जो होना था वो होगा ही होगा. So don't have any hopes or aspirations from the budget. Number two, we have always said that whatever is proposed in the budget, in the follow-up later it all gets amended or recalled. We have a famous thing in this country. Budget provision, we are recalling it because no one is thinking. You see, if any country starts its budget process by announcing a halwa ceremony, you can imagine the kind of raita that is being fell out. Which country says ki bhai, in order to start the budget ceremony, we have to have halwa? Half these guys are diabetic.
हमारे देश में ना मीठा हलवा
Pallavi, now I don't need you to give me the crude rustic reasoning. You know what I'm saying. Then people are locked up in North Block. Those guys will take out their revenge by putting provisions that they will inconvenience us. But on a serious note, no budget, to my mind, has been done with great thought. We have always had recalls. Why the same Congress Johnnies that talk about budget and all? What did Pranab Mukherjee do as finance minister? Created legislation retrospective way back to 1963 and destroyed the investment climate of India for the next 5 years after that. So I have no faith. I hope it's a great budget. In the good old days, people like Sandip Ghosh were worried कि cigarette के दाम आगे जाएंगे, तेल कम होगा, डालडा expensive होगा. Now he's also in a bloody cushy job. He doesn't care. You, in any case, don't care because your whole trip is going to the hills. I mean, trip, no pun intended. So, I don't think You're always going to the hills.
Yeah.
Which one of us is going to the hills from here? I mean, she's on a mountain of hope in any case, Pallavi, but we are all pretty rooted people.
I just hope that they don't lower EV prices post this budget, because I just bought an EV and I'll be very upset. I told you I'm no budget expert, but just my own feelings, because that would be very, very hurtful if that happened. Then I could have waited a month or so. Professor, last words to you, since you're the economy guy on this panel.
Look,
Really, economy guy. We've all studied economics. Sorry.
look, to expect every budget to be a dream budget, the Chidambaram's budget, etc., that doesn't happen. By and large, the majority of the expenditures are already made up. Your revenues, in a sense, after GST particularly, is also fixed. So the leeway to do something is always marginal. And what the government will do marginally will basically tell us what it's going to do for the next 5 years. Okay, they may announce something very big. And when you look at the fine print, you will find out that big thing is basically spread over 5 years. I have no problems with that, provided intentions are made known. And once those intentions are made known, they may have a positive impact on the investment climate. That remains to be seen. Whether that happens or not.
And that's it, guys, for this week's Sunday Club. Thank you for joining us. Do remember to like, share, subscribe. I always forget to say that, so I'm saying it now. Please do. And will we be back on budget day in the evening to discuss this?
Yeah, but if you wake up on time and you have the rigor. I mean, you run this program. We have no say except to be your willing subordinates. So if you do the program, we'll be there. And Pallavi, just get yourself another fresh box of popcorn.
It's a bowl of popcorn, not a box.
Whatever, box, bowl, whatever.
Good one, Adwaita. Good.
You're welcome. but I just
someone just commented your hair looks like so. Whatever that means.
Who's this? Your hair? What? Whose hair?
These are our serious journalists. Someone says yellow light looks like Son Papdi. This is what's exciting her. Not the fact of Dharavi. Not the fact that the budget may have serious implications on MSME workers. Not the fact that the media has never covered Dharavi in these issues. But what excites her is my hair is looking like Son Papdi. This is the point. From someone who colors her hair to make it look that miserable.
That is very good. Who said that?
Why don't you sponsor a Sunday Club tour of Dharavi, Suhel?
See, this is it. This is a serious issue. This is how they mock.
No,
So,
I
Pallavi-
want to go there.
Yeah, you must
but
go
on
there.
a serious note, we all combined have a quite a sizable social media following. We should promote things in Dharavi in a positive way.
Yeah.
So here I'd like to
And just
lend
put
my
us
support.
out. Their
Yeah.
pottery stuff, seriously, and this time I'm serious. Please tell us, tweet about it so that we all can buy and spread the word round. I mean, if we can help in this small way, why not?
You must go to buy your LV bag, yeah, Pallavi, to Dharavi. The LV bag
No,
which you've been having for
You
such a
you
long
get you get those fake LV bags. I tell you one thing seriously, Dharavi has the best collection of jeans and jackets. Try buying it.
Yeah.
They're really good clothes there.
Well, Pallavi, when you go to Maharashtra, which I'm sure you will for the elections coverage, then maybe you can do a report from Dharavi as well.
Yes, I will. I'll for sure.
And that's coming up. Actually, election season is coming up, so let's see how that goes. I think that's going to be really, really contentious and vicious, but we'll wait to see what
Maharashtra is
happens.
going to be an interesting election, yeah.
To all my disciples, thank you for wishing me on Guru Purnima and thanking me. I accept
No
it.
one did wish you actually.
All right, Son Papri.
I don't want you as a disciple because that would be a reflection on my erudition.
Oh my God, that was so
I
clever.
like the name Don Babri actually.
Like Son Papri is like the sort of the Indian candy floss, right? And his hair is also wiry.
The candy floss
They're
is
telling you,
patisa.
Pallavi, there's something called a
Patisa.
combination.
Yes. You're
Patisa.
right. You're right. It's patisa.
And
Yes.
that's a Jammu thing, yeah.
Patisa, but it's also called son papri here.
It's
The
also
son
called
papri
son
is,
papri.
son
It's called
papri is
son
something
papri in
else here.
UP. Yeah, I'm from UP.
Or
I
son
know.
papri is, son papri is very cubical.
I know, but I'm
Patisa
from
is
UP.
spread out here.
Little threads. It's
Yeah.
delicious, man.
Patisa has threads, yeah.
Even son
I
papri
don't think
has threads.
Suhel is
Okay.
liking this
Okay,
conversation.
thank you.
Hello,
Thank you,
hello.
everybody, for
Thank you
watching.
very much.
Thanks for
Bye.
watching. Bye. See you
Bye,
soon.
bye.
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 Bye.